Some knowledge doesn't hurt because it is complicated. It hurts because it arrives after it could have mattered. By the time we understand it, the moment has already passed. The decision has already been made. The cost has already been paid. We like to believe that learning follows effort, that if we try hard enough, if we pay attention, if we listen carefully, we will arrive on time. But learning does not follow effort, it follows position. Where you are standing when the information reaches you matters more than how intelligent you are. Timing is everything, not because it decides outcomes, but because it decides when outcomes become irreversible. Most of the things we wish we had known were never secret. They were visible. They were spoken out loud. Sometimes they were even repeated. But visibility is not the same as readiness. And information that arrives too early sounds like noise. Information that arrives too late sounds like truth. Experience is not a teacher, it's a receipt. It doesn't guide you forward. It doesn't warn you beforehand. It doesn't explain alternatives. It simply confirms what has already been spent. Time, energy, trust, possibility. A receipt is not advice, it is evidence. We often say that experience makes us wiser, but what it really does is make us quieter, because wisdom rarely feels like growth, it feels like subtraction. Something you no longer do, something you no longer expect, something you stop offering. And most of these changes don't feel dramatic when they happen. They feel reasonable, they feel mature. That's why not all losses are visible.
And this quiet subtraction is rarely noticed by others, because it doesn't announce itself as loss. It presents itself as adjustment. You tell yourself you're being realistic, more selective, less idealistic than before. You stop asking certain questions, not because you found the answers, but because asking no longer feels useful. This is how understanding changes shape, not by adding clarity, but by removing possibilities. You don't argue as much, you don't expect as much, you don't explain yourself as often, and on the surface, nothing looks broken. What actually changes is your margin for error. It becomes smaller, tighter, less forgiving. You start choosing options that feel safer, not because they are better, but because they feel predictable. And predictability slowly replaces curiosity. This is not failure, it is adaptation. But adaptation always has a cost. It trades openness for stability. And stability, over time, can feel like depth. Until you realize depth and stillness are not the same thing. And by then, the habit is already formed.
Some losses don't look like mistakes. They look like routines. They look like normal days that repeat themselves without resistance. You wake up, you go to work, you answer messages, you make plans that sound sensible, and nothing seems wrong. But nothing new is replacing what quietly disappeared. You don't notice the loss when it happens. You notice it later, when you realize the room feels smaller than it used to, when your reactions become predictable, when curiosity stops interrupting your habits. This is the cost of late understanding. Knowing something early feels like guidance. Knowing it late feels like regret. And the difference between the two is not intelligence, it is timing. Some lessons only make sense after they are no longer useful. A boundary you understand only after it is crossed. A relationship you understand only after it ends. A limit you discover only after exceeding it. These are not failures of learning, they are failures of arrival. And what makes late learning especially expensive is that it cannot be revised. There are no drafts, no alternative versions. no chance to test a different outcome. Hindsight has no revisions. It doesn't ask what you would change, it only shows what you didn't. We tell ourselves that at least we know now, that the knowledge will help us next time, and sometimes it does, but sometimes there is no next time. Some situations are one-time offers. Some doors close quietly, without warning, without drama. They don't slam, they don't echo. They simply stop opening.
When doors close quietly, we rarely mark the moment. There is no timestamp, no clear signal that something irreversible just happened. Life continues with the same calendar, the same responsibilities, the same language. And because nothing collapses, we assume nothing was lost. But loss does not need collapse. Sometimes it only needs time. Time to reveal what no longer returns. Time to show which paths stopped appearing in your thinking. Time to expose the absence of alternatives. This is why late realizations feel heavy. They arrive complete, fully formed, with no room to negotiate. You don't argue with them, you don't question them, you recognize them. And recognition is different from discovery. Discovery feels open-ended, recognition feels final. It carries the strange clarity of knowing that even if you had the chance again, you wouldn't be the same person approaching it. Not because you learned, but because you paid. And payment changes posture, it changes tone, it changes how close you stand to possibility. This is how understanding reshapes behavior without ever raising its voice.
There is a moment when understanding stops asking for proof. It no longer needs examples. It no longer needs confirmation. It simply feels familiar. This is usually when people say they have changed, but change is not always movement. Sometimes it is reduction. You remove expectations one by one, not dramatically, not consciously. You just stop reaching for them. What once felt possible begins to feel unnecessary. What once felt urgent begins to feel distant. And you convince yourself this distance is wisdom because it sounds calmer, more controlled, less exposed. But control is not the same as clarity. Control is often the result of having been surprised too many times, of having trusted patterns that did not repeat, of having believed timing would be kinder than it was. So you narrow your range. You speak less precisely about the future. You leave more sentences unfinished, not because you lack imagination, but because imagination now comes with cost. And slowly, without a clear turning point, you realize that understanding has shifted roles. It no longer opens doors. It stands beside them, quiet, observant, unmoved, waiting for you to notice what happens next. And when the realization finally arrives, it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't explain. It doesn't comfort. It settles in. Learning is not fair. It is not distributed equally. It does not arrive when we are prepared, and it does not wait for permission. Some people learn early and cheaply. Others learn late and deeply. And depth has weight. Depth slows you down. Depth changes how you listen. Depth makes you careful with conclusions. Because once you have paid a high price for understanding, you stop assuming that clarity is harmless. What we rarely talk about is that not all knowledge is meant to save us. Some knowledge only explains why we couldn't be saved. It gives shape to what already happened. It names the loss without undoing it. It organizes the memory. And that has its own value. Because unnamed loss tends to repeat itself, but named loss becomes visible. Even late understanding can prevent repetition. Even expensive lessons can stop becoming habits. That doesn't mean the cost disappears. It means it stops growing. There are still lessons on the way, still receipts we haven't received yet, still realizations that will arrive too late to help, but not too late to be noticed. And noticing may be the only control we ever really had. Not control over outcomes, not control over timing, but control over whether we look away or stay present when understanding finally arrives. As far as we know.